Good morning, folks. We're beginning today with a bit of distress at the number of comments in yesterday's program saying how sad it would be if this channel disappeared from YouTube. Well, first, thank you very much. But second, one place that will always carry the news is spaceweathernews.com, the place where we also find the daily sequences and data points about the solar wind and solar flares. This will carry the news, and so will suspiciousobservers.org, no matter what. It's like a coronal hole in 193 or 211 angstroms. If you don't find it, you must not be looking. Same goes for the bright active regions in 171 angstroms. This one thought he'd sneak in here as the coronal region was turning out of view, but we were able to catch the sunspots quickly before they went over the horizon. Solar wind here, and you should see in purple the peak of the stream and subsequent reduction of plasma speed. The slow descent allowed one more geomagnetic instability event to crop up overnight. Nothing major. We're moving on to where they had record snow in Pittsburgh, and here in Colorado there's 6 to 10 inches across the springs. All new accumulations. It's nearly coast to coast and coming up for the upper Midwest today and tomorrow. On the other side of things, they're claiming a 65-degree day in Antarctica. Happened at the northern extended tip, but still would be amazing if true. Because I pulled the data for the exact time, and something tells me that's not exactly an accurate measurement. Yellow is the 60s on this graph, and you need to go hundreds of miles north of the coast of Antarctica to hit those marks. The air around the region was 30s and 40s. Allegedly, they've got a reading pushing 70. Okay. Moving on, because this is legit. As cold as October was, is how hot January was in general. While it's true that the other side of the world got hammered by winter the last month, for North America, it was a nice change from a ridiculous autumn season. Speaking of temperatures, not sure how I forgot to mention this yesterday, but that Beaufort gyre that's been stuck and is going to release a cold climate bomb on the world has been stuck for years. So much of the cold that helps dampen the summer heat has not reached the Atlantic and helped drive a lot of the higher temperatures that we've seen the last decade. No way to get there if the gyre had released. It's now spent 3 times as long as it's supposed to in this phase, with record cold freshwater melt being added to it by the day. It will be the greatest gyre release of the modern age when it happens. Long and far away from the Beaufort gyre sits Zealandia. Most of her resides beneath the waters, but that didn't used to be the case. They say this land sunk into the sea when the Ring of Fire really activated. Did not know it was that extensive of a mass that it sunk. Up next, a great confirmation of one of Dr. Brian Tinsley's more complex discoveries of solar climate forcing. The precipitating electrons and therefore cloud cover and various Joule heating pathways are affected not just by intensified space weather, but by the phi angle of the solar wind, the magnetic sector. This was one of the mechanisms that allowed particle forcing finally to get a place at the climate change table for CMIP6, so it's great to see it confirmed. Folks, I hope community hero Dr. Pierre-Marie Robitaille catches this one. The alleged black hole image in M87. Well, it turns out the brightness arc and observed jet feature don't exactly match up. In fact, they can't figure out how to get that image, even though they do suggest some hypotheses. Their models can't make it work. On Dr. Robitaille's channel, called Sky Scholar, you can find excellent debunkings of this image from a completely different angle. Jab and cross-kick coming to dark matter now. First, we've got confirmational observation that some of the low-mass galaxies that didn't need dark matter, indeed, probably don't have it. This is as bad of news for the dark matter paradigm as when it was first announced 2 years ago. And then we come to what is being claimed as the first universe simulation without dark matter. And then, cutting off a would-be roaring cheer from our community, they used modified gravity in its place. It is noteworthy that such models were able to outperform the dark matter models. Indeed, their slap-a-fix paradigm is assumptions and hypothetical math. So yes, they can mathematically make a number of schemes work. But they did make a huge error. It was not the first such simulation of the universe, only the first one fully unclassified. The nuclear-driven particle physics tests and resulting simulations at Los Alamos and other national labs, led by Dr. Anthony Peratt a couple decades ago, are in fact still mostly classified because of their nuclear connection. But in our plasma cosmology movie, after much work, he and I were allowed to disclose a qualitative lesson learned in their experiments, that there was no dark matter. It's just the dusty plasma we don't see very well, and the effects of its dynamics and charge. To be clear, We don't get to know where they did it or any of the data on the bombs or the still classified reports, but we were allowed to share the truth that those experiments showed them. There is no dark matter. All of our movies are linked below, and again, folks, please, no commentary about my disappearance. If you got through this show today without knowing at least 2 places you can always find these daily news, even if I disappear on YouTube, I really don't know what to tell you. For now, it appears Google and YouTube have chosen facts and free speech as the winner in this case. We've got wind map forecasts and shots of our star to close, and of course, we'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now it's 4:20 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe.